Welcome. Imagine yourself at the edge of a forgotten riverbank under a velvet night sky. The air is cool, heavy with mist that spirals upward from the water. In front of you lies an ancient boat, no sail, no engine, but drifting gently on a current that seems to pull at your very bones. Its wood is weathered, like old bark peeling in slow memory. On board stands a lone rower, neither old nor young, cloaked in garments woven from moonlight and ancient sigils. He doesn't speak. He only nods and gestures toward the river, as though inviting you to step forward. You venture aboard as your foot touches the planks. The boat glides forwards silently. No splashes, no creaking, only the murmur of water against time-worn wood. The sky above is a tapestry of stars, shifting imperceptibly, as if the universe is remembering its own distant dream. And so begins our journey along the river of time. The boat rocks gently beneath your feet, as if swaying in rhythm with your breath. The oar dips once, then again, smooth as a thought, quiet as memory, cutting through the soft glass of the river. All around you is stillness, but not of emptiness. This is the stillness of something very old, very sacred, that watches without moving. The current is not strong, yet it pulls with a certainty that feels older than the stars. You are not rowing. You are not steering. You are simply gliding. Mist clings to the water in gentle whirls, curling like the long exhale of some ancient being. It has a weight to it, a presence scented faintly of river lilies, damp stone, and something like burned cedar. Not sharp, but aged, like memory preserved in ritual smoke. Up ahead, faint shapes emerge on the shoreline. Not buildings, not trees, monoliths, great stone figures, their faces worn smooth by 1,000 rains, rise from the shallows. Some are upright, others lean into each other like elders trading secrets. Moss grows where mouths once whispered, and ivy coils like forgotten prayers around ancient eyes. You pass close to one. Its base is cracked, water lapping gently at its feet. Carved across its chest is a spiral, not quite a symbol, not quite a map. It hums faintly in your bones, though no sound reaches your ears. You blink and realize you don't know how long you've been drifting. The air has grown cooler, subtly, like descending into a dream. The moon still hangs high, but it reflects strangely now, broken across patches of fog that part as the boat glides forward. Suddenly, ahead, a sound, but not quite a sound. A texture in the silence. It's like hearing your own thoughts echoed softly back to you. Memories you didn't know you carried. A voice you once knew. A lullaby from a time you cannot name. The boat continues forward to your right. The shoreline rises into low, terraced hills. From their crest, strange light flowers bloom, soft globes of amber and violet, pulsing gently, as though breathing. Between them stand the silhouettes of weathered shrines, their walls marked with circular carvings that mirror the ones on the statues. And then, a flutter high above, paper lanterns dot hundreds of them, thousands, perhaps, drifting upward from somewhere far ahead, released from unseen hands. Some rise slowly, others dart like curious fireflies. All flicker with a light that seems to blink in time with your heart. One descends toward the boat. It hovers near the bow as if inspecting you. Then, slowly, it begins to unfold. Not burst, not burn, but simply peel open. Petal by petal, dot inside, a fragment of parchment. Old, yellowed edges curled. You do not touch it, but somehow you read it, a single phrase. Time is not a line. It is a river of many mouths and no source. You look up, but the lantern is already drifting away, dissolving like dew before dawn. The boat tilts slightly, and you realize the river is bending now, curling around a peninsula dense with mist-shrouded trees. Their trunks are pale, almost silver, and their branches dip low, trailing fingers into the current dot. Here, the mist grows thicker. Each breath you take feels like sipping clouded memory. From the trees comes a subtle chime, not mechanical, organic, like glass touched by moonlight. It is rhythmic, but not regular, more like wind playing through ancient wind chimes carved from bone and hollow stone. The rower does not speak, he simply dips the oar again. One stroke, another, and as the current deepens, you feel something shift beneath your thoughts, like pages turning, but within your own soul. You realize you are not merely moving forward. You are being led back, not in time, but through time, past it, underneath it. You pass a grove now, and nestled within its curve is a village, or rather, the memory of one. Huts made of reed and ashstone, their fires cold, but still rising faint embers that don't quite vanish. Figures move between the homes, not people, not entirely, dot echoes, dot shadow like imprints, repeating tasks from lifetimes ago. A woman grinding grain, a child chasing a luminous fish, a man stringing a bow. Dot. As your boat glides by, the shadows pause. They turn toward you all at once, no malice, no curiosity, just recognition. And then they bow, slowly, deeply, and fade. Ahead now, the river widens into a vast basin. The water here is stiller than before, like a sleeping eye. In the center of the basin, an island rises low, flat, ringed with standing stones, carved with yet more spirals. The boat does not stop. It circles the island once, then drifts along a narrow channel beyond. But as you pass, you feel a tug, not on the boat, on your mind, a sensation of having been here before, not in body, perhaps, but in dreams. In those moments, just before waking, when the world is half born and memory floats unanchored. And then you hear it, your name, but not in your voice, in the voice of someone who once loved you. The sound is gone before it arrives, like wind carried backward. You do not weep, you do not speak, you only drift forward, and the river carries, chew on the mist, begins to thin again, just slightly dot far ahead. The river splits, not into two, but into many, a vast delta like the roots of a tree carved into the land, each branch shimmering with a different hue, some gold, some green, some deep blue, others flicker with color you've never seen. The rower chooses one. You wonder what guided his choice. Perhaps the river knew, perhaps you did. As the boat enters the new channel, the water beneath grows darker, more reflective. You see your face now, but not as it is, as it once was, and as it might yet be. All superimposed, like memories pressed into glass, and around it, other faces, some familiar, some forgotten, all watching, not you, but through you. You close your eyes, and the boat rocks on. Above you now, the stars have changed. No longer the constellations you know. These are older, woven into unfamiliar shapes, stories you've not yet been told. Or perhaps you once knew them before forgetting. A shape takes form. A bird with 7 wings. Another. A key wrapped in flame. And there, a bridge. Rising from fire into cloud. You feel something shift in the air. A kind of promise, not of revelation, but of remembering. The rower makes one final stroke. The boat slows, not stops, but steadies. You have reached the first threshold. Ahead, the water glows with a soft light, and submerged beneath it lie the outlines of towers, temples, and statues, all sleeping, all silent. The next part of your journey will carry you into them. But for now, you breathe, you feel the boat hold you, and the current cradles you like a lullaby. The journey has only just begun, but already the world has grown quieter. The river does not rush, it remembers, and soon, so will you. The current draws slower here, as though reluctant to pass too quickly over what lies below, beneath the surface. The reflections waver, not of sky or cloud, but of pillars, submerged and silent. The river becomes like glass once more, and you see them clearly now. A colonnade of forgotten architecture, archways bent under water's weight, bas-reliefs worn smooth by time. There are gods and beasts blurring into dream. The oar does not move. The boat glides without need. You lean slightly forward, gaze drawn into the water, into that sleeping city beneath the tide, and you feel it. Again, not awe, but familiarity, as though part of you once lived among these stones. Not recently, not even in this lifetime, but in another story. Now, half remembered, the river begins to narrow, and the boat descends, ever so subtly, not into depth, but into memory. You pass what might once have been a grand entrance. Twin statues flank it beneath the water, one of a serpent with a mask of feathers, the other of a woman cloaked in reeds and stars. Between them, a gate opens in the riverbed, not physical, but woven from currents, eddies, and soft light dot as you pass through. The water changes. It darkens, not into a dusky blue, like the inside of a twilight hour. Shapes move beneath you, not creatures, but histories that a chariot of gold dragged slowly by oxen of mist. A library collapsed in on itself, its scrolls dissolving into drifting petals, and at the center of it all, rising from the drowned earth, a temple. Its spires have collapsed. Its altar lies open to the sky, but still it stands. The boat glides silently around its edge, revealing reliefs etched into every stone. A flame offered from hand to mouth. Ah, moon swallowed by a woman cloaked in coral. A key held in the beak of a crane. Each image pulses faintly, almost imperceptibly, as if breathing, and somewhere inside a bell tolls. Not loud, not sharp, but low, resonant, like the deep echo of something once sacred. It tolls only once, but the sound rolls endlessly outward, not through the air, but through the bones of the world. You feel it in your chest, behind your eyes, in the curve of your spine. It doesn't speak words, but it remembers them. The river bends once more, and the temple vanishes behind you, swallowed again by the mirror of water and time. A scent reaches you now, old parchment, whetstone. and something like ash and roses. You pass beneath an overhang where vines, thick and silver-veined, drip with dewdrops that never fall. Beneath them, a series of smaller shrines line the riverbank, each one different in shape, in material, in symbol. Some are carved from smooth white marble, others from copper-veined obsidian. One appears to be entirely made of bone, polished and ornately inlaid with glyphs of tiny animals: bear, hare, serpent, swallow. The glyphs seem to shift as you pass, not threatening, just watching. On the left bank, a stairway descends from nothing, leading straight from the sky into the water. You glance upward, and for the briefest moment, you see a city above Dot, hanging upside down, made of light and ribboned bridges, populated by shadows that move slowly, gracefully between glowing towers, and then it is gone, swallowed by cloud, replaced once again by the normal curve of stars. The air grows thicker now, not heavy, but charged, as if the very river is holding its breath. Ahead, a series of stone rings emerge from the water. They rise at odd angles, overlapping like the bones of a giant's spine. As the boat passes through each one, a faint tone resonates, each deeper and slower than the last dot with each tone. Your thoughts slow further. You forget what day it is. You forget where the journey began. But you do not feel lost, only still, only drifting. Then the boat slows, almost stops to your right. A flat stone dais rises just above the waterline, encircled by luminous reeds. At its center rests an hourglass, enormous, ancient, but untouched. Its glass is clouded, its sand not golden, but the color of moonlight, drifting upward, not down. You do not disembark. You only watch, and you feel time stretch. The sound of your heartbeat becomes the sound of dripping water. The light dims to something silvery, weightless dot, and the boat moves again, forward, deeper. You pass a structure shaped like a spiral shell, half submerged. From within, the low sound of flutes and breathless voices echoes out, wordless, drifting. Somewhere inside, beings are singing in a tongue you do not know, but which your soul responds to like a call from long ago. The water here grows warm. It carries the scent of lavender and distant storms. You pass under an arch of woven branches, petrified by centuries, and emerge into what feels like the heart of the drowned city. A courtyard beneath the water, lit not by fire, but by memory. The stones glow faintly. A woman sits upon the steps, dressed in robes of sea glass, her face veiled. In her lap, she cradles a scroll, not paper, not parchment, but something alive. Its surface shimmers with scenes as though painted in living ink. She looks up, she sees you, and she bows once and vanishes. You are not afraid. You are not surprised, because deep within, something ancient in you remembers her and remembers what comes next. The river begins to rise now, as though returning you from its deepest dreaming. The boat glides upward. Subtly, effortlessly, the water grows cooler again. The scent of rain returns. The sky above clears, stars sharpening into focus. Behind you, the temples fade, not into shadow, but into memory. A soft bell tolls once more, far, far behind. This time, it sounds not like sorrow, but blessing. And ahead, the next phase of the journey begins. The current narrows again, but the water becomes clearer. Not shallow, not yet, but transparent. As if the river has washed away its final layer of concealment. Beneath the surface now shimmers structures not built of stone, but of something else entirely. Crystal, light, glass. They bend and spiral in impossible ways. Towers of glassy latticework, bridges strung from starlight and memory. Domes shaped like hourglasses. Archways that shift as you look at them, refracting the very concept of form. The boat glides between them in silence, as though entering the heart of a forgotten civilization, one too delicate for time to hold above you. The sky seems to reflect the shapes below, or perhaps it's the other way around. At the center of this place rises a great spire, not tall, but deep, like an inverted lighthouse, sunken into the river itself. Its windows glimmer, not with candles, but with moments. As you pass, each pane reveals a fleeting vision, a child reading aloud to a stone-faced tree, a woman with skin like silver whispering to a tapestry that moves with breath, a man stitching letters into air, each glowing for a moment before floating away like fireflies. They are not ghosts, they are memories, and yet they are more alive than any shadow on either side. Crystal walkways now stretch above the water, their balustrades etched with runes. The symbols pulse faintly, not with magic, but with remembrance. They are not meant to cast spells. They are names. Names of those who once lived here, and perhaps still do in the glass. In the river, in the rhythm of your drifting heart, the boat slows. A sound fills the air, faint but distinct. Chimes, not from instruments, but from the wind moving through the crystal towers. Each tower produces a single tone. Together, they form an endless lullaby, a song without beginning or end. Soft, circular, always returning, like time, like water. You pass beneath a massive archway made of fused glass feathers. Beyond it lies what appears to be a garden suspended above the water, not by bridges or supports, but by thought. Vines of translucent jade dangle from floating planters. Flowers, made of mist and light, bloom and vanish in rhythm with the current. And in the center of it all stands a statue, or so it seems at first, a figure cloaked in prismatic veils, face hidden behind layers of shifting light. Their arms are outstretched, and in their open hands rests a single, delicate sphere, so clear you're not sure it's even there. You feel the urge to reach for it, but the moment passes. The boat drifts onward, and the garden recedes into dream. Now the sky itself begins to shift. No longer just night, but twilight of many ages. One moment, it glows with orange-pink of a spring sunset over wheat fields. The next, it pulses with pale green auroras, dancing over frozen fjords. Then, a pure white mist, neither warm nor cold, folds over the water like breath on a mirror. It is in this mist that the river reveals the hall of echoed light. Ah, chamber without walls, just an expanse of mirrored water and suspended prisms. Your boat stops at its edge, and for a moment, everything falls still. No ripple, no wind, no time, only reflection. You see yourself, but not only as you are. You see echoes of who you've been. A child looking up at stars, a wanderer climbing broken stairs, a figure curled beside a fire, singing softly into sleep. They fade, one by one, but you do not mourn them, because the boat begins to move again, and with it, you carry all those selves forward, not as burdens, but as warmth. The river bends once more. Ahead, the architecture begins to fracture. The glass, no longer perfect, now cracked, veined, still glowing, but in a quieter way, like moonlight through a dusty window. It is here you find the memory kill, a sphere of molten crystal, turning slowly on itself, held above the river by 3 long-forgotten bridges. Inside, you glimpse figures, dot, artisans, not of clay or stone, but of memory. They shape images from light and time, scenes from lives long past, not to preserve them, but to release them. You watch as a memory is formed, held in the hands of one of these figures, and then gently set into the water, where it floats, dissolves, and disappears. There is peace in that dot. There is letting go. Your boat does not stop at the kill. It bows in passing. not literally, but in spirit, and you feel something soften in your chest, a tension you did not know you carried. Gone, the city ends without ending. The towers grow further apart, the reflections return to water. The song of chimes fades into silence, but the feeling remains, the deep, subtle echo of having passed through a world built not from stone, but from remembrance. The forgotten age of glass fades behind you, and the boat, now cradled by darker waters once more, enters the next phase of its journey. The river begins to narrow once again, but not in danger. No, this constriction feels intentional, like a corridor carved between memories, a sacred threshold bordered not by reeds or sandbanks, but by tall, whispering trees, their bark bronze-hued, their leaves a pale, dusty gold. These trees do not sway in the wind, they listen. And as your boat glides past, the hush is so complete you can hear every droplet that touches the hull, every sigh of water parting beneath you. Above, the sky remains veiled as if dimmed by reverence, and ahead a glow emerges, not bright but steady. You soon find yourself entering a canopy of ancient light. The trees here are older than language, their roots woven across the river like braids of wisdom. They do not impede the boat. Instead, the roots part slightly, just enough, as if recognizing your presence, granting passage with the solemnity of a priest unlocking the gate of an old temple around you. The air becomes denser, not heavy, but rich. It smells of copper and cedar, of ray not yet fallen, of stories that have not been spoken in generations. And with every breath, you feel your senses gently attuning to something more ancient, something waiting. The boat glides silently into a clearing, where the river pools into a calm, mirror-smooth basin in its center. The bronze garden, it is not a garden in the traditional sense. There are no tidy rows or cultivated flowers. Instead, there are statues, dozens of them, perhaps hundreds, arranged in soft spirals that curve outward from a small stone island. The statues are not uniform. Some are tall, some small, some detailed, others abstract, but each one whispers, not aloud, not in sound, but in intention. Each one hums with the echo of a life once lived, a moment once held. You step out of the boat, or perhaps you imagine yourself doing so. In this part of the river, imagination and movement are the same. Your feet make no sound upon the stones. Instead, the garden itself speaks to you, not in words, but in scenes that bloom behind your eyes. A warrior rests his sword beneath a tree, planting seeds in the soil beside it. A child offers a cracked bowl of water to a fox limping from the snow. An old queen unclasps her crown and places it gently into a stranger's hands. Eyes filled with quiet hope, each statue reveals a truth, not grand, but meaningful. This is not a garden of power. It is a garden of remembrance, of soft endings and eternal returns at the heart of the island. Its single vine grows. Its leaves are metallic, its blossoms faintly glowing, and from its branches hang bells, not made of iron or silver, but of old dreams. Each one represents a life forgotten by history, but remembered by the river as you pass. A breeze stirs the vine, and a few bells chime softly. Each sound enters your chest and settles like warmth in winter. They do not ask to be remembered, only to be heard. You linger in the bronze garden, not because the boat delays, but because you are allowed. The river waits, and when you are ready, truly ready, the boat shimmers into being beside you once more. Not a command, an invitation. You step back in, and the garden recedes, not into darkness, but into peace. Now, the trees become fewer, the bronze light softens, and a new sound begins to rise. Faint, crystalline, dot, like wind passing through ancient wind chimes buried deep beneath the earth. The sky above shifts hue again, darker now, but speckled with strange stars you do not recognize. They glint like the eyes of old guardians watching from a distance. And as the boat drifts onward, the current becomes cooler, sharper. Time begins to stir again, but it is a gentle rousing, like a sleeper being nudged awake by moonlight. Ahead, faint glimmers appear on the horizon, metallic and rhythmic, like a rain of stars, falling in slow motion. You have left the garden now, but its whispers remain with you, braided into your hair, settled behind your ribs. The next bend in the river awaits. The bend in the river narrows again, then widens, not into a lake, but into a slow, glimmering expanse of open current, like a calm bay unfurling beneath the weight of eternity. And here, the sky awakens. It is no longer the muted dome of mist and soft clouds you passed beneath in the earlier journeys. This sky is vast, open, and strange, lit by stars that do not follow the constellations of any known night. They pulse softly in pairs and trios, move slightly like drifting cinders in a windless world. They fall, one by one, like soft rain made of light, not crashing, not blazing, just drifting, descending descending, each a whisper from the cosmos, a memory without anchor. You feel no fear as they fall, only awe and stillness. The boat slows, as though aware you are meant to witness something here, and you do, for rising out of the water. Ahead is a structure like no other. It resembles a temple, though not one built by hands. Its pillars are made of starlight, translucent and tall, and they shimmer slightly out of sync with the rhythm of the river. The entire shape seems to phase between solidity and suggestion, as if it exists in several places at once and is merely choosing, for now, to appear here. This is the Hall of Collapsing Time, a place spoken of in the oldest myths, where falling stars carry the fragments of ages forgotten. The boat pulls close. You do not step out. Instead, the boat passes through the temple, and inside, everything slows. You drift through silence that feels ancient enough to have shape. There are statues here, too, but unlike the bronze garden, these are not carved in honor. They are imprints of moments cast in the shimmer of light and air. A city of crystal domes sinking slowly beneath a golden tide. A child asleep beneath a tree made of glass leaves, their dreams projecting into the sky like clouds. A library built into the ribcage of a colossal beast, where each book is a memory woven from the creature's breath. And above all, stars fall continuously through the open ceiling of the temple. Each star, as it lands gently on the water's surface, reveals a flicker of a lost moment, a kiss never given, a promise never broken, a name whispered only once and then forgotten. Each one disappears after a breath, but you remember them somehow. The temple opens near its end into a mirror pool where the stars no longer fall. They rise, bubbles of memory caught in reverse, lifting gently from the surface and becoming lights. Above once more, it is a cycle, soft and eternal, and you are drifting right through it. The air smells here of old ink, wet stone, and ozone, that strange, sharp scent that always follows lightning. But no storm comes, only light, only breath, only release. At the final pillar of the temple, you see a figure, not entirely visible, more silhouette than substance. They kneel at the edge of the water, holding a bundle of something wrapped in woven linen. They dip it into the tide, and when they lift it, you realize it is memory, condensed, folded, resting in their hands like a bird, too tired to fly. They press it to their chest, and then they vanish. No sound, no ripple, just gone. And yet, you feel their peace, so something heavy had finally been put down, not with pain, but with gratitude. The boat glides beyond the final arch, starlit stone, and the current shifts again. Here, the stars are. Fewer dot, the sky softens. The river glows now with its own inner light, faint and bluish, like moonlight trapped beneath the surface. It feels like the end of something, but not the end of you. The boat glides onward, and in the quiet that follows, you hear something new, a heartbeat, not yours, not the river's single quotes. It is slower, larger, like the pulse of the world itself beneath you. And ahead, a figure waits. A small dock appears, nothing more than a stretch of stones shaped by time, lined with tiny lanterns made of bone and shell. And seated at the very edge is the boatman, not the one who guided you. No. This figure is older still, cloaked in tattered robes stitched from starlight and shadow, their face hidden behind a mask of still water. Their presence is inevitable. You do not speak, but they do not allow. But into your bones, memory is not meant to be hoarded. They say only carried until it is ready to become light again. They reach toward you, and from your chest, something rises, a single droplet of light. You had not known you were holding it, but now that it is gone, you feel lighter, freer, not empty, just unburdened. The boatman nods, not in command, in thanks, and then they fade. The dock crumbles gently into the river, stone by stone, and the tide carries you forward once more. You drift now toward the hush of what lies beyond stars, toward a place where time folds in upon itself, like the petals of a sleeping flower. The sky dims, the current slows, the last star falls, and the boat enters the mist once more. The river had grown wider, its surface, once silver-threaded and dappled with drifting petals of bygone ages, now bore the weight of deeper time, slower, darker, more reflective. The oars no longer cut with urgency. They barely stirred the current, as though even the river itself had begun to recall something long buried beneath its mirrored skin. The boatman did not speak, but his silence had changed. It was no longer the silence of reverence or distance, but of remembrance, as if the motion of the boat had unlocked a door he had long kept closed, and now stories spilled through it like fog curling over the gunwales. You sat still, noticing the change. The air itself thickened with a different kind of magic, not the enchantment of temples, nor the whispers of gardens, nor the shimmer of stardust. This was the magic of memory, heavy, quiet, inescapable, as the boat drifted onward. The shore began to fade. In its place, visions rose, not real landscapes, but echoes, like the ghost of a scent, or the memory of light on skin. They danced in the mist, half-formed, shifting, retreating the moment your mind tried to grasp them. And then, a voice, not aloud, not from your own mind, but from the boatman, his memories, blooming within the fog like stars in deep water once. Long ago, before the river bore him away from names, the boatman had been a child, not immortal, not mysterious dot, just a child. His village had clung to the banks of a much younger river, one that still curved between whispering reeds and fireflighted nights. He remembered laughter there, the weight of wet clay on his palms, his mother's lullaby drifting in a warm dark, sung not to lull him to sleep, but to remind the stars she still believed in them. He remembered the old well, the way it gleamed under the cypress moon, as if it drank starlight instead of rain. And he remembered the first time he heard the water speak. It had not spoken in words, just a rhythm, a pattern, a message too old for language. But he understood, because some part of him, ancient, unborn, eternal, had always known it. On the eve of his 13th summer, a storm came, not the kind that breaks trees and floods roads, the kind that shakes truth loose from its hiding places. The village elders gathered in silence, no fires, no chants, only a bowl of salt and a thread of woven reed left outside each doorway. He asked his mother what they waited for. She did not answer, but her eyes told him. She already knew who the river would choose. That night, he dreamed of the boat. It waited at the bend in the river, half hidden by reeds, carved with shapes that pulsed with soft light, not gold, not silver, but memory-colored. When he awoke, his sandals were wet. The shore bore no footprints. But he knew what he had to do, and so he went. The boat did not ask for his name. It asked for his memory, not in pieces, not in images, but whole. He stepped aboard. The water accepted him. The world tilted, not as if the river flowed downstream, but backward, into the well of time. His life as a boy slid from his shoulders like a robe made of light. He would remember, not always, not clearly, but deep within. The child beneath the cypress moon would remain, watching. And so the boatman was born, not immortal in power, but in duty and in memory. The visions faded. You looked up. He sat across from you, hands on the oar, though he did not row. His eyes, once veiled, now shimmered with the faintest glow, not of magic, but of recognition, as if this journey with you had opened something he'd long forgotten could still open. He nodded once not to you, but to thee. River dot, and the water responded. It rippled gently, as though in approval. The stars above rearranged themselves, slowly, subtly, no longer reflecting the past, but guiding toward something else. He reached into his robe. From within, he withdrew something small, a single river stone, smooth, pale, scribed, with markings so faint they could barely be seen. He held it out to you. No words passed between you, but in your hands. The stone warmed not from heat, from belonging. You knew, somehow, that this stone had come from the well beside the cypress moon, that it carried not only his memory, but yours, now. 2. The river did not just remember the boatman, it now remembered. You. The journey was not over, but something had shifted. The river's song had changed. Key, it still flowed gently, still whispered, still rocked the boat in lullaby rhythm. But now it hummed of reunion, of destinies long parted, drifting once more toward confluence, and in the distance, just beyond the reach of sight, a new shimmer arose, not of temples, not of glass or bronze or falling stars, but of stillness, pure, vast, final, waiting, but not with fear, with peace. Imagine now, the current has slowed to almost nothing, as if even the water has begun to slumber. The boat drifts through a corridor of silver mist, where no stars shine and no winds stir. There is no sound here but the faint heartbeat of silence, a rhythm so ancient even the trees along the shore have forgotten their names. You, the listener, the traveler, and the spirit, are no longer a guest upon the river. You are part of it. The boatman does not speak now, or rests. Beside him, his gaze is fixed forward, not on what lies ahead, but into something deeper, something within. His long journey has led here many times, yet each arrival is unlike the last. For the river does not repeat, it remembers, yes. But it does not return. The mist parts gently, revealing a circular lake, perfectly still, like a polished obsidian. Mirror, the boat glides into it without causing a ripple. Overhead, the sky is blank, not gray, not black, simply ... empty. A canvas untouched. You may imagine it as you wish. For here, imagination paints reality. A white stone dais floats in the lake's center, as though born from the dreams of the earth itself. Upon it sits a single object, a bowl carved from fossilized driftwood, cradling a flickering flame, and nothing more. This is the end of the river, not the edge of the world, but the fold in its fabric, the place where time forgets itself. and memory softens into peace. The boatman gestures gently, not to command, not to instruct, but to invite. You step out onto the days. Your feet make no sound. The stone is warm beneath your soles, not from sun, but from stillness. The way hands remember touch, or dreams remember laughter. You approach the flame. It does not burn. It breathes. It inhales your stories, your regrets, your joys, your countless selves that were carried here by the river, and it exhales only light. Now imagine, as you watch, the flame begins to take shape. Slowly, carefully, not a person, nor a creature, but a form, a ripple in presence, a suggestion of every being you've ever been. It surrounds you like fog wrapping a hill, and then it lifts, and you understand. You are not merely a traveler. You are the river itself. Each bend, each age, each ruin, each wonder, they were not scenes you passed. They were you. The boatman was not your guide. He was your voice. And now, you are the silence. The flame dims, not as a loss, but as a return. You kneel beside the bowl and gently place your hand over it. The warmth travels up your arm, not heat, but peace. It fills your chest, your throat, your brow. You lie down upon the stone, arms outstretched like wings of still. Water, the stars above, slowly begin to reappear, one by one, like whispers returning to a room long forgotten. And you, the river, the traveler, the witness, you drift no more. You rest, not in sleep, not in death, but in the stillness that exists. When all names have been spoken, when all tides have settled, when all time has wept its final tear, there is no beginning here, no end. Only the hush between heartbeats, only the shimmer of what once was and always will be. And as the camera of the mind pans gently upward, rising above the lake, above the river, above the lands it has touched, we see only this: a thin line of silver winding across the world, a ribbon, a sigh, a cradle for memory, and it hums a lullaby just for you, forever carried on the river of time.